Hi there, my name's Tim Hurd and I'm the co-founder of the Circle of Intrapreneurs. Welcome to this, the fourth part of a 5-part video series talking about the 5 stages of the entrepreneurship lifecycle. So far we've talked about the convince phase, the create phase and the construct phase. Today we're going to talk about the commit phase. So cool because it is the first time the organization formally assigns and commits resource to an entrepreneurial venture. The purpose of the commit phase is really to draw down on that investment, on that capital, or the resources that have been provided to establish and test and hypothesize and conduct a whole bunch of activities to really expand the business case presented at the end of the construct phase into a fully researched, informed investment case whereby the assumptions have been validated, a roll-up plan has been created, and that allows entrepreneurs to forecast how much it's going to cost to deliver their venture and what the return on investment is going to be in years 1 to 5. This is important as the delta between the resources given to date and the resources required in the next phase, the control phase, to deliver what essentially is an MVP to market is significant. So for the business to make an informed decision, more risk-averse decision on giving these resources away for the next phase, the investment case has to be extremely well-rounded. In terms of the activities this therefore requires, entrepreneurs need to look at conducting market research, building a prototype and using that to inform user testing, working on estimated costs and impact assessment and so forth, and all of that to round up and put into an investment case. An interesting part of the commit phase is it's the first time entrepreneurs really encounter the key blocker to entrepreneurship, which is something that we refer to as the resource allocation gap. We'll be doing further videos on the resource allocation gap in future. But the principle is this. Despite being awarded funding, entrepreneurs often find it hard to spend that funding because actually the resources inside organizations are pre-allocated by the nature of those organizations. Furthermore, entrepreneurship, even in the commit phase, is still largely a discretionary activity, which occupies discretionary space within the organization. This makes it even more difficult to obtain those resources that tend to be assigned to non-discretionary activity. The answer to this problem is slightly counterintuitive given the whole ethos of intrapreneurship is about building things internally. The answer is to externalize a large part of the intrapreneurology, which, as we've discussed previously, is the science behind building the entrepreneurship program. This tends to take the form of giving entrepreneurs the option to spend their award money with an external agency that can be a lot more agile about their approach to resourcing those ventures and require a lot less approvals to bring in headcount to support those ventures on a temporary basis. Ironically, it can also be cheaper to do that because the market these agencies can dip into is a different one to the market that established corporate organizations look to. It's also an interesting phase when it comes to considering the mental health of entrepreneurs. Primarily because if they've now received some kind of funding, it is almost a false dawn if they can't take it forward and deliver it. So actually, not having that support mechanism and that clear delivery pathway post the assignation of initial resources at the end of the construct phase is a bit of a problem. And quite often that isn't particularly well thought through in many organizations that I've worked with. One entrepreneur I spoke to recently highlighted this to me when she said, look, the really frustrating thing here is that if I was an entrepreneur and I had the capital that I now have available, I wouldn't be sitting here waiting for 3 months before I had the approvals to access a developer internally. I'll be able to get that pretty much the next day. And this is why entrepreneurship can take quite long within organizations. But as we said, the answer here is to externalize part of the program and to incorporate that kind of thinking when you're approaching your entrepreneurship program, building that into your intrapreneurology. The phase following commit is the control phase, where the venture itself will start to become less discretionary. We'll be talking about that one next time. Thanks for listening.